Okay.
Okay. Thanks for coming in. It's a very exciting time for you guys, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to get to know you, and vice versa. So I'm Dale. I'm a married celebrant, and I'm allowed to marry people under civil law. And so you guys live locally, do you?
Yep, we
Yes.
do.
Yes.
Yeah, we live in Balaclava.
Yeah.
Yep. For about, we've only been living together for about 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've been together a lot longer.
Yeah. It's always a change, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's good. And I heard you went camping.
Yes.
So how did that go? Nice weather?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah. The kids
that's
wanted
good.
to start their new swag, so that was exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, we
Seems to be happy.
discovered we need a bigger car, so
Children, campers, yeah. But camping is a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So today's interview and booking session goes for around 45 minutes, give or take. So is that timeline sort of going to work for you guys?
Yeah.
So one of the prime focuses of today is really just to hear about your hopes and wishes about the ceremony and what you might have in mind, but don't feel pressured, because if you have nothing in mind, I do have some resources.
Okay, cool.
But we don't have to go through those, of course, today.
Okay.
And the other thing is for me to have a look at with you at some relationship education information, some legal paperwork that the government likes to have in place, and so that we get to the end and everything's legal, and to look at just some a booking form if you would like to proceed. So do you have any ideas at all about your ceremony, or just
something short?
Something
long.
So this is just the booking form that I'll sort of fill out as we go. I think short ceremonies are great. There are only a couple of legal paragraph or sentences really that I have to say. So and if you want to know them, I've got those compulsory words here, because you can choose to embed them in part of your overall ceremony. They don't have to be the star of the show, they just have to be said. And so I'm hoping that together we'd work out something that you would really enjoy and can fondly look back on. That would be a good thing as well. So had you thought about whether it might be in or outdoors, or local, or more far away, or not really?
Probably outdoors.
Something
Mum,
dinner. Go get some cheese. We're just recording something. Off you go.
Hi Hugo. So that might be something that we can look at, because I do have a few resources that I've found around ceremonies outdoors, and the considerations, like if it's in a public place, or whether contingency plans and things like that. So we can follow that up if that's the way that we decide to go. So have you thought then about the type of time of year that you would probably like to go married?
Not the middle of summer, but
probably start of April-ish, not spring. I don't know. Nice weather, not hot, not cold.
Good idea. Right, Kat? So just all those sorts of things, and particularly also if you're considering photography, just the timing of your wedding, whether you're going to get shadows, and if you're outside, and whether there's a lot of trees around and things like that. So they're just considerations to keep in mind. So as far as the legal side of the paperwork goes, there's a handout that I would like to give you first. This pack you can keep, but I just wanted to bring this to your attention. So the Happily Ever before and after is a brochure that's put together actually by the government. And it's primary goal, I suppose, is to just remind people of how really significant marriage is, and that the government really supports the family to have long-lasting relationships, I suppose. And these are just some things about how the marriage process works in a nutshell. So, and the notice of intended marriage is some paperwork that we can have a look at in a little while. And we can start filling that out, but if you haven't got the documentation on hand, that's cool, you know, we can do that another time. But there's some also privacy notes in there and things like for your protection really about how that all works. And that needs to be completed at least a month and up to 18 months before your wedding.
Okay.
So, you know, you can have a minimum of a whole calendar month or else up to the 18 months.
Yep.
And that's valid.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some evidentiary documentation that you would need to show me as we are completing the notice of intended marriage, and that includes things like your birth certificate, proving your identity, and obviously, Lisa, you mentioned that you had been previously married, so how that marriage ended and things like that. And also there's some other things that the government would like you to know, that we're going from a single to a married person. Obviously there are some health changes, health and welfare changes, there's this making your will, there's considerations around taxation and things, so that's just something, and your name change of course, you'd have to decide what that will be. And then around strengthening your relationship, there's an encouragement for people to really look at relationships as a pre-marriage opportunity, and actually, there is some local availability for that, which you know, in downtown Balaclava really surprised me. But the Lawsons offer a pre-marital education which is free, but it is a time commitment over 7 sessions. But they happily negotiate that with you. So if you want to look through this stuff, this is just local information about relationship education that we put together. And I suppose what the brochure is really pointing out is about the relationship, not just before, but during and after. So obviously you've got a great relationship already, so it's a positive start. So one of the things that I did find out though is that with some pre and post counselling for children, because you don't know how the kids, how the children will respond. They look pretty comfortable. So I just included a few little snippets like that. But unfortunately, like the closest one in person is Port Pirie. Which is a bit of a drive. But there are some things available by phone and support. So I'll leave that in your pack, and you can, if you need any clarification on that, just let me know. That would be fantastic. And so I'll pop those in for you to have a look at later. So the next thing is about the compulsory legal elements. So a couple of things that I just need to say is like just I'm assuming that you would have some witnesses at your ceremony. So if I'm just actually just saying that as a celebrant I'm authorised to actually legally marry you in Australia and actually anywhere. So that's interesting. And any time apparently. And I just remind everyone there about the solemn and binding nature of the relationship that you enter into, and that Australia sees marriage as the union of two people to the exclusion of all others. They actually entering into for life. And then when it gets to the vow part of the ceremony, I just say, I get you to say something like this, Jack, like, oh, I, Jack Jenner, take Lisa L, or take the Lisa L, to be my lawful wedded wife, or something similar. You can choose the word wife or spouse, or husband or spouse. That's your choice. And then after the signing of the marriage certificates, I would reintroduce you to your witnesses as husband and wife.
Yep.
And so you would let me know how you would want to be addressed.
Okay.
Then.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a few things like that. Little things like that that are important, but they don't take a huge thing. I don't think they would take it away from your ownership of, of the ceremony.
Yeah.
It needs to be covered by you, definitely. So on the you can obviously have a look at that now if you want, but there are some things to fill out there that you just choose who's 1 or 2, and then you can just start filling those out if you want to do that.
Jeez. Want to go find something to do? Okay. Alright.
This is pretty interesting. Something a bit different.
It's nice outdoors, so the fillies.
Yeah, that's a bit easy. So if I'm filling this out, so if I'd be the bride, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Or
okay.
else if you wanted to choose, you could be partner.
Okay, alright.
But
Yeah.
bride, yeah.
And then with my surname, is that what it will be after marriage or maiden?
It's your current name.
Current
yes.
name.
Yeah. And generally speaking, it would be on your birth certificate.
Yeah.
So I would have to just view your birth certificates, and on the second page, I'll make notation that I've cited those things.
Yep, I've got all that stuff here.
Yep, that'll be great. And when just make sure you don't spell your names incorrectly. Because then it goes forward onto your certificates and things like that, marriage certificates. So, yeah.
You're bumping me, darling. Okay. You want me?
So,
I'm right here.
spring or April. Outdoors. I shouldn't assume, but are you both over 18?
Yes.
Glad you asked. Yes, I am.
That's good.
What's my name?
If you need to find out, that's fine, Lisa.
When was I married, Edie?
You don't know.
Why not?
Because I wouldn't know where you
Oh, you weren't born yet.
Yeah. So I was still when was I food then?
Your food? Yeah. You were still in the tummy.
That's cute.
Mama, you can do this.
It's very kind of Mum and Jack to help me out because I needed some help. Hopefully it won't take too long.
So, with the date on which the last marriage became final, is that when we separated or when the divorce was
That
finalised?
would be the date on your divorce certificate.
Yeah.
What's this?
Certificate, that's a piece of paper that lets people know important things. March.
May I fold over?
And do I do that bit?
Just that top bit there, Lisa, and then I'll do that. I'll have a look at those certificates with you in a minute.
Fill all that out.
Yep. Oh, we don't have to fill it all out. I just have to do the divorce bit. You don't have to do your bit. She's not married before.
Yeah. So you've got your birth certificate or your passport?
Yeah, I've got my birth certificate. Jack has to wrangle his up later.
That's all right.
I don't know
No
where
worries.
it's gone.
Yeah, gotta find that.
Yes, that's fine. They are hard to keep track of. Yeah.
A bit noisy.
Mum, when can we have dinner?
Okay, got a coffee
Thank
at
you.
the minute.
When can we go have dinner?
I'll cook us some dinner very, very soon. What could you do while you wait for dinner? Oh, actually, what's the proper one? Eat.
Eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. Eat forever?
We'll go out and open the fridge. Go find some fish. And that's my divorce papers. What else do you need from me?
Just photo ID.
Yeah, so I've just recently changed my name.
Yeah.
So
that's
So they chopped that up and I'm just waiting for it to come.
sure. No worries. I'll just pop that down as a note to
Yeah.
chase that one up for you.
Sorry about the kids being a bit
No, that's fine. Right, that's life.
real life, isn't it?
That's fine. Not a problem. So I thought an interesting option when I was looking at some of the weddings and having been to a few
Yeah.
was that sometimes people are choosing not to exchange rings,
Yeah, okay.
that they have other options.
Yeah,
so,
right.
so that might be something that you think about. And
Never heard of that before.
yeah, and in my on that little pen drive there,
Yeah.
there is some resources about alternatives to
Yeah,
wedding rings on
okay.
there.
Yeah.
So which you might like to
Right.
look at
Yeah.
at some stage. Yeah. So,
Real good she's chosen.
oh,
Got us in a moment of weakness.
no wonder you're hungry.
And have a bone.
Wow.
I didn't know what have a bone does.
Oh, you pop them in the fridge
So
later.
that does Sean invalid or
I'm a little bit now.
Okay, so well we can check that
Should I
when we
leave that
get
for now?
yeah, when we get your you might have been one of the last babies to be born in that.
Yeah, I don't know if I was or not.
I was the last one in my life.
Oh yeah.
Don't eat it all, just eat his ears, that's all.
Okay.
Right, once you get to past his ears, stop.
That. Here's his ears.
Yeah, alright, off you go. You shut the door behind you.
Eat in there. Like
Just today you can eat in there, alright?
Just down the edge there.
Sorry, disrupting all the home rules. Yeah. The other option for a wedding is, I'll just check these on there in a minute, was the like the marriage certificate. You've actually got the option if you want to, as a keepsake one, to have one done in calligraphy.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so I didn't know whether that's something of interest to
Yeah,
you.
probably. Yep, I think so.
What's that?
Have a
Sorry?
nice
Have
gift,
a pretty, because you have your normal certificate,
yeah,
but
which
then you
is
get a pretty one too.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
which is a standard. Yeah, if you'd like one, because we have to do 3 on the day. So
Yeah, okay.
so I'll just put that down there so that I can organise that one. And would you have a large wedding party or just 2 2 witnesses.
We debate this.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So it won't be any more than 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't think, will it?
Yeah.
No.
As far as I'm concerned, you just need a minimum of 2. So,
Yeah.
and,
Nah.
and
Yeah.
they both
Yeah.
have to be 18 or over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all cool. And we said you'd have a few wedding guests.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another argument. I don't want many and he wants lots.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Might leave that to you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. They can both be
Yeah.
special in their own different
Yes,
ways.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. End of the day, it doesn't really matter, I don't think.
No. Alright, so I'll just put the info on alternatives. Thanks, Jack. So and we'll chase up those bits of paperwork later.
Sure.
I'll just practice checking. Oh, you work at the children's centre.
I do, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And a big expansion happening on there, over there.
It was very exciting. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
That looks fantastic. So I'll just need to write down the registration on here. Thanks, Lisa. I think we'll have to check that one. Okay. Thank you. So if we maybe make another time to get together to do the rest of this.
Sure.
So is there anything else that you would like to know about the process of organising it?
Sorry.
That's fine.
Yes, that's fine. Just the ears. Quietly, can you shut the door behind you, please, Evie? Thanks for not eating on the carpet. Not on the carpet if you go, just alright, and shut the door behind you. No, don't apologise, it's fine. That's all good.
Yeah, I'll probably just outline my fee structure.
Yeah, sure.
If that's of interest to you guys.
Absolutely.
So the way it works is that I charge $450 for a wedding.
Yep.
And depending on when that is, so on the normally I give a free 30-minute meet and greet session just to see if you really think that I'm the celebrant to do your ceremony for you. So because we've got some paperwork to follow up, if you would like to do that in lieu of that, then that would be at no charge. And then this session would generally be a non-refundable deposit of $100 once we have completed the nom. So once all of that is done, because that's basically you're asking me to say the date and to enlist my services on that.
Yeah.
But that $100 comes off of the $450.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So that fee's deducted from the overall price. So the balance of $350 would be due a month prior to the wedding date.
Okay.
That money goes towards supporting the administration and documentation. So when I register all of the paperwork with birth, deaths and marriages, and then I'll work with you and come up with suggestions about the plan design and the day of the solemnisation of your marriage. So talk to you about, you know, how you would like the day to look and flow. If you want people involved in your wedding, such as if you wanted somebody to do a reading, a poem, play a musical instrument, do a song. You know, if you want the children to be involved, things like that, then we can sort of craft it together to make that flow. And then I would actually write a draft of that ceremony out for you. You'd have some time to get back to me with any changes, and then I would be able to formalise it and present you with a copy after, just as a keepsake as well, if you would like that. And then if there are additional services, so the total distance that I include in my price is a 50-kilometre round trip, so it's just $1, well, not just, it's $1 a kilometre after that. For travel, but I don't charge for my time during that travelling. And for the formal correspondence, if there, say for instance, I needed to get information or encourage you to get a translator because you've got someone coming to your wedding who doesn't understand English, then that would be at your cost. So, but you would organise that, and but I might have to negotiate with the embassy or something. And then the ceremonies, if they were unconventional, if we were going up in the plane and jumping out or something, that may incur extra fee.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
you're right.
Right, thank you. I'll stay with you, Jen. And then if there was a special requirement around a rehearsal or not, then we could negotiate that. And then these, that's non-refundable as I mentioned, but if for some reason you had to cancel or postpone due to illness or something along those lines, then the administration fee, assuming that we haven't already submitted it, would be refundable. And then just on negotiation with me, the other monies would also be negotiated as partly or wholly refundable. Then we would just sign off. This is basically agreeing, you know, on what we are having together, and on the venue and start date and alternative venue if we happen to be faced with bad weather on that day. And how we would let guests know of that. So that's basically the fee structure. There. Cool. Did you want to also keep that a copy of that for later perusal? Yes. So I'll put that in there. Did you have any questions?
I've got a question.
Great.
With vows,
yes.
Do we write our own, or can you provide us with examples or something like that?
Both of those
Both?
things.
Okay, cool.
So if you would like to write your own vows, you can choose to write them together or keep them separate from each other, so that you only hear them on the day, which can also be really lovely. You know, but just depends on what you'd like to do. When you're writing your vows, just remember that the seriousness of marriage. And so if you wanted to be light-hearted, just perhaps maybe do that outside of the vow part of the wedding. Because the vows hopefully is like an open, honest commitment to each other. Certainly I do have examples of that if you wanted to have a look at some of those. And as you say, often just coming from your heart, short, sharp and shiny if that's what you wanted. And at that time you don't have to be facing your guests.
Yep.
If you want to face each other and just focus on each other, then it's more like a private time, and that's fine as well.
Yeah, okay, cool. What's he doing?
Get his blanket stuck in the door.
For you, baby. It's okay.
You're gonna pull it through.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jack, did you have any questions?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah. Was there any family member or friend that you were thinking you might like to invite to participate in the actual wedding? Because I don't actually, other than those compulsory parts,
Yeah.
if you want someone else really involved out front,
Okay.
speaking or
Yeah.
you know, doing some of the readings,
Yeah.
because
So,
not really.
nah.
I don't think so.
Nah.
Yeah.
Haven't really thought of it, so.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, we're not looking for anything religious or
Yeah.
anything like that, so we won't have
Yeah.
readings or
Yes.
anything like that happening. So
Yeah.
no,
No worries.
Yeah. easy.
And if you needed to connect with a florist or a venue for photos, I do have some partnerships with people, not monetary ones, but just cross-advertising. So if you would like that information of local people, then I can point you in the right direction there.
Actually, one thing, do you provide the, like, is that a PA system or what, something like that, or do we need to organise that, or?
At this stage, I have ordered one.
Yep, okay, cool.
So depending on when the wedding was.
Yeah.
No, but that's my intent, is to have one, certainly.
Okay, cool.
And so we would have fairly insignificant mics for you guys. If we are outdoors, that's probably fairly important. If it's a windy day or something like that. And then if you had some music in mind that you wanted, I just need to firm up the copyright components of that. So giving me some notice about that would be a great idea. And that goes with if you perhaps are using any particular paintings or venue or things like that, and people are filming, so just a few copyright issues there that we just have to check on.
That stuff.
And if there's some keepsakes that you would like to give out to people, that can be a part of the ceremony as well. And there are lovely things as well. I saw the entire guest crowd held the couple's rings whilst they were having their
that is
the
cute.
ceremony had already started, and everybody just made a silent wish over the rings. And by the time that they were ready to be exchange vows, everyone had said, good luck over these rings. And I thought that was really lovely.
Ask them and see what they want to do.
How they would like to do it.
I think that'd be the way to go.
Yes. No, that would be lovely.
Yes.
Right. So, do you think we'll be half
Oh my God.
Okay. So,
just wait a minute, I won't be long, okay?
I need it now.
No, you need to wait.
Can
Alright.
you please? No.
Go and ask Hugo where it could be, he might know.
No, he wants the iPad.
Okay, just wait, alright?
So, if we make a time to reconnect,
Sure.
so do you want to make that time now, or did you want to give me a call?
Give you a call. That's because of your work schedule, it's really tricky.
So you don't work locally, Jack?
Not all the time, no. Bit
So
everywhere.
Well, I've given you that pack, haven't I? Have I taken it back?
No, you've kept it.
There it is. Right. So just on here, in case you need to contact me, that's just my details there. I'll pop your business card in there as well.
Beautiful.
And if you want to borrow
Yeah,
those resources,
sure. Yeah.
and if you're looking for anything particular, by all means just contact me, because my fee includes open communication. So
Okay, cool.
if you prefer to email or phone,
Yeah.
text, that's
Okay.
fine. I'm
Yeah.
happy with that.
Perfect.
All
No
right.
worries.
Thank you so